Rotational grazing is a name given for the type of movement of livestock through a farm system. So it's characterized by the high density of grazers concentrated in a small area and being moved along at a very short duration of time. So generally you'd have a large number of livestock contained by a mobile electric fence, and you'd move that mobile electric fence on every day so that they are on fresh pasture, and the time in which they're on that particular pasture, they're having a big impact on it because they're at a high density, and they're converting a lot of the carbon in the plant matter to a carbon in manure, and that manure as a source of carbon can be better absorbed into the soil to help rebuild and grow that soil and feed the soil biology than if those plants just died on the surface and dried up. Because if they just died on the surface and maybe just lay on the surface as a mulch or a dead plant, as those plants oxidize, a lot of the nutrients that are in that plant will just off gas into the atmosphere, so they'll just turn into a gas and disappear into the atmosphere, instead of, in the case of a manure, being broken down by the digestive system of the animal and then coated with the beneficial bacteria that are in their digestive system, so that when they're applied to the soil in a moist, broken down, biologically rich manure, that provides the environment where those nutrients that are in that manure can be then absorbed into that soil very easily by the soil biology and help to build up the richness and health of that soil. So it's a great way to convert plant matter into a form of compost that can be absorbed into the soil. And in the case of the grazers and the rotational grazing, you're also using them to manage that landscape. So to maintain that development of that landscape in a very early stage of succession, which is dominated by pioneer plants and grasses that are very resilient to disturbance from grazers and environmental disturbances too. Maintain them at that early successional stage. And converting the nutrients that are in those plants back into the soil again. Another characteristic of it is that you allow the plants to develop to maturity before you allow it to be grazed again. So traditionally in a grazing system, the grass length isn't allowed to grow very long, and what that does is it creates a correspondingly small root system. So if you keep the length of the grasses long, you also get a short root system. And the consequence of that is that the root system is what's feeding the soil biology. So if it's short, it's not creating much habitat in the soil for the soil biology, and it's not providing much food either. But as you get longer, and you allow the grass to get longer, you also develop a bigger root system, so that provides a bigger habitat for the soil organisms, provides them more food, so it enriches the soil, and then when it's grazed back by a browser and provides all of that carbon and other nutrients back into the soil as a manure, you also get a dieback of the roots, and those roots are also converted to organic matter that helps feed the soil. So by allowing the grass to grow longer, you are providing more resources to help build up the health and abundance of microorganisms that are in the soil.